Candace Owens responded to a young woman challenging Owens' anti-trans rant by pointing out her Native American two-spirit people existed. Owens goes off on her, calling Native Americans cannibals and drug users, shocking, racist, and vile. Okay, so a couple of pointers here. Very, very, very important, okay? First of all, if you're arguing with a conservative, never, ever, ever try to defend anything by bringing up what other races have done, especially Native American people, okay? Like, to a to a conservative, you're basically saying like, well, if you're so correct, then why do these degenerate subhumans believe differently? Like you're laying them up. You're just giving them ammunition to be incredibly racist. You're not actually you're not doing anything there. Oh, and if you want to get into like the specifics of it, like the actual like etymological roots of transgender, two-spirit, you know, what these terms mean, what they refer to, there's a lot of play to what you can get away with when it comes to defending it. Personally, I don't think bringing up two-spirit people is a good idea at all. The fundamental root of the conservative argument when it comes to trans people is that gender doesn't exist. There's only sex, and therefore any society which believed there were more than two genders is just wrong. Like bringing up that other people disagreed, you know, it's not going to change anything. You have to challenge the fundamental there. What'd she actually say?
I'm wondering, there are dozens of words for two-spirited people, people that would now be considered LGBTQ or trans people in the native languages. So I'd like to know how, as these people have existed for thousands of years before you were alive or anyone else in this room was alive, and
okay, so obviously from the get-go, this is a logically unsound argument. The fact that people believed something different and have been around for a while is not an argument, right? Like, obviously, like, oh, well, thousands of years ago, they thought the earth was flat, blah, blah. So this doesn't mean anything in and of itself. Effectively, it's an appeal to empathy. The only real retort here is like, how can you disagree with the lived experiences with so many Native American people? To which the answer is like like Candace Owens doesn't care, obviously. For two, yeah, you're basically just giving conservatives a layup to be racist. So, you know, I mean, if that's your goal, but
before anyone even colonized America. If trans people were around then, I'm just wondering why you think it is that trans people are only here now because the media is telling people these things.
Okay. Maybe I was a little bit lacking in faith there. This is a better argument. This is a logically sound argument. Because another big argument from conservatives is that liberal degeneracy is what has created trans people. So if the concept of trans people has been around for longer, like, are you saying liberals were around like 1,000 years ago convincing the Cherokee that like were the Native Americans the liberals? Was that what Columbus did? He like de-wokeified America or something? They probably do unironically believe this. They're conservatives. They believe like anything. It's so stupid. But yeah, that's probably the level they're operating on. So yeah, that's a better argument. My apologies to this college student.
Well, do you think it's weird that I graduated with 0 trans people? What do you think has contributed to the explosion of transgender people from the time that I was in high school? I'll ask you a question back.
This is technically a sound argument from Candace Owens. You could say, oh, you claim that trans people are from liberal degeneracy, but trans people have always existed. And Candace Owens correctly replies with, well, there are way more of them now than there were like 50 years ago, which is completely true. That is a fair counter-argument from her.
If this was just a natural thing, and I don't know what you're talking about with two-spirit people, is this like a Native American tribe, like high, smoking, and talking about your spirit?
Candace Owens knows what two-spirit means. The term has come up too much in trans culture war debates for her to not know. She's pretending not to know here because for her it's like a rhetorical device that she can use to make it seem as though the college student is just bringing up some meaningless tangential thing with no relevance to the issue, rather than bringing up an actual argument. It's bad faith. She knows what she's doing. Also,
natural thing, and I don't.
We've talked about this before, but the whole natural thing argument with trans people is completely meaningless. We have no idea what is or isn't. First of all, what is or isn't natural doesn't necessarily mean it is or isn't good, right? Like humans in their natural state before any kind of like civilization probably murdered each other like all the time. Obviously, that's not better than not murdering people. For two, whether or not something is natural is kind of asinine and meaningless in a society where most people have some kind of technological augmentation to their abilities. Whether it's a phone, glasses, hearing aid, whatever. Like, what do we mean natural? Come on, like, get over yourself. What do you mean if it is or isn't natural? Who cares what is or isn't natural? You know? The nuclear family is not natural. It's literally less than a century old. The concept of just like two parents, two kids, white picket fence suburbs, totally modern. Like as modern as the Frankfurt School, you know? So again, meaningless.
Like a Native American tribe, like high, smoking, and talking about your spirit. I'm asking you seriously, because when I think of Native American tribes talking about their spirits, I know that they used to smoke a lot, they used to do drugs, they also were...
What the I don't know. I don't know what blood is waffling about here. So again, remember that she's pretending to not know what two-spirit means here. She is now going into the racism segue, obviously, because that's like, if you give a conservative the prompt, like, hey, if X is bad, then why did other race do it? Then they're just going to talk about why the other race is inferior.
Were cannibals who used to eat people, so I don't know if we should be taking our cues.
Also, I think the idea of like people from Christendom arguing that other societies are cannibalistic is so funny when the primary religious ritual of Christians is eating the symbolic flesh of Christ. Not even like symbolic, depending on who you ask. There are Christians who will argue that like metaphysically the wafers and the wine literally are the flesh and blood of Christ. Like what? Like think for a minute if any other group of people had a tradition like that. Like if the Mayans were like, yeah, eat this bread and this drink, and it is the blood and flesh of, I don't know, Tenochtitlan or whatever. That was Aztec, not Mayan, but whatever. Like we'd be like, damn, that's crazy. That's so savage. That's so brutal. That's so like fucking barbaric. You eat the flesh and blood of your gods? Well, that's crazy. Christians do the same thing. But like, again, it's the hypocrisy. It's the same hypocrisy that leads people to say like, Spaniards actually put a stop to the human sacrifices. And then when you read up in history, Spaniards killed like 1 billion trillion people in Latin Central America with slavery and with like mass executions and shit. It's like, well, hold on, who killed more people? Also, claims that the Native Americans engaged in cannibalism are largely sourced from extremely racist and biased colonial documents that were meant to spook people into thinking that the natives were subhuman. Were there some native tribes that engaged in cannibalism? I'm sure humans have engaged in cannibalism all over the world. It's generally considered to be taboo. Maybe there were a few tribes that did it more regularly, but it wasn't that common. As for tribes that did it incidentally, I mean, maybe, but all groups of humans do it incidentally if they're hungry enough. Like you get a group of hikers together, you trap them in the Alps during the snowstorm, and like, yeah, someone's gonna eat someone, you know? It's not good, but like, what kind of argument is that, you know?
From cannibals, but
I think
can you explain to me what two-spirit is in the history?
So you can tell that she's acting in bad faith here, because if she actually didn't know what two-spirit meant, she wouldn't have gone on a 45-second long, like completely irrelevant tangent on cannibalism. Effectively, what she was saying is, oh, the Native Americans? You mean the Native Americans are killed and ate people and were barbaric and they're subhuman? What did they do? Can you tell me what they thought? It's like, it's very, very obviously a way of poisoning the well in the discourse.
There are people that would now be considered trans people that did not feel that they fit the
What part,
binary
though?
gender.
Native Americans? I'm asking you.
Yes, I'm telling you that not only in one Native American tribe, but in multiple tribes, there were dozens of terms that referred to people.
Unfortunately, this student doesn't seem to have caught on to the game, which is obvious. I'm sorry, which is like obviously the point of Candace Owens doing this. Guys, remember how conservatives used to brag about how they love debating and they love the free marketplace of ideas and they love engaging, they love discourse, they love debate? And now every single conservative will only do debates with college students. Literally all of them. Ben Shapiro used to have like contrary voices on his show. Now he doesn't really. Now he just does the college circuit thing. Steven Crowder used to be more argumentative online. Now he doesn't. Now he just he doesn't even do the college change my mind thing anymore because everyone hates him. Matt Walsh just does the college thing. Candace Owens just does the college thing. They have all like Tucker Carlson before he got kicked off Fox used to have contrary voices on, but then he like tapered them off. Like they're all just done. They don't do it anymore because their views are too insane to deal with direct scrutiny. They do not work anymore. The only way that any of this works, the only way this image, this visual works of their competence in the sphere is by them debating college students. And I don't think this person here, I don't think they're doing anything like wrong or bad. I just think it's important to understand the game here, right? Predatory.
That would now be considered trans, and that was hundreds of years ago. So I'm just wondering why you think that people are only trans now because the media is telling them to be.
Well, I told you, because of the proliferation. So you can't just go from having zero.
Is this like auto text? Because of the proliferation? Do you mean the proliferation? Wait, is this a word I don't know? Proliferation. No. It auto corrects to perforation. Is this like auto text generation?
So you can't just go from having 0% to suddenly 25%
But what
of
I'm
people.
saying is that these people were around
Yeah.
for thousands of years.
So again, this is the classic like left-handedness argument. You persecute left-handedness and it's like, oh, well, we actually have no left-handed people. Or you have countries like, was it Iran or Saudi Arabia or whatever, where they said, yeah, our country has no gay people. And I bet you if you did like a poll, if you like had government officials from Iran or from their like religious morality police go from door to door and be like, are there any gay people in the house? Any homosexuals? You'd probably get 0%. Wow, 0% homosexuals in Iran. I wonder why that might be. And then crazy, you have like a secular revolution in Iran, and they no longer criminalize homosexuality. It's whoa, now there's gay people. How'd that happen? Like, it's very stupid. It's dumb. Very stupid.
Years.
Well, what you're saying is that some Native American tribes had people that would be considered trans today, something that we can't fact check because they're dead.
What? The documentation on the two-spirit thing isn't like a oral tradition thing. It's what? What? First of all, I like the implication that Native American people are just dead, like gone, like completely gone. That's actually kind of what the conservative mythology wants, because the conservative mythology wants like Native Americans to have been a barbaric underrace that got trampled by American exceptionalism, never to exist again. It's much cleaner that way. You get a lot of messiness for the narrative with Native American people still being around. This is what I said before about America not being an active settler colonial project, because to the people in America who are most intent on enforcing like white hegemony, Native Americans aren't a group currently being oppressed. They're a group that doesn't exist. I feel like the dynamic is a lot different in like Australia or Canada, where they seem to have much more like ongoing political discussion concerning Native American people. Because over here in America, the conservative line for natives is that they just don't exist. You know, like to conservatives, they might as well be like ancient Egyptians or like Vikings or something. Like they're just gone. You know.
Right.
Historical knowledge.
It's historical knowledge that there were trans Native Americans.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Well, it is if by two-spirit, if you mean trans, which there's a lot of overlap in these concepts, then yes, that's yes.
I really don't think that's historical knowledge. But here's what I'll answer. I don't think that there were trans Native Americans.
See, look, her narrative, her myth requires they pretend these people don't exist. Obviously, even if they went like a whole like historical segment on like, here's proof that two-spirit people existed. There was a reference to them in this paper from 1872 or what. Like, even if they did that, Candace Owens would just go, oh, well, they did cannibalism and they were subhuman anyway. So, But yeah, this again, like, this is actually a huge up from Candace Owens' part, because there are so many ways she could talk her way around this without just like ignoring history. She could say like, oh, well, you know, just because the Native Americans had a bad idea didn't mean that liberals today aren't like popularizing that bad idea, or like, oh, well, they were more common or less common back then than they are now, so like it's a popularization of a concept that used to be more obscure. Like, there are a million ways she could have talked her way through that without giving up any ground, but she's kind of stupid, so she has to do this like, well, I guess they didn't exist thing, you know?
If you could educate yourself a little more, you would know that.
Okay. I will educate.
Actually pretty good. No, okay, credit. That was the perfect time for an incisive remark, and she was there for it. Yeah, yeah, for sure, hell yeah. And the crowd clearly agrees with her, since this I assume this is like a college circuit thing, you know? That was good, yeah. The worst thing she could have done there was sort of meekly agree, or like meekly go like, oh, well, then, you know, but instead she dunks. That's good. That's very good. Well done. I stan, or whatever. Good job. Well done. There was actual medical cannibalism in Europe with eating dry mummies, drinking the blood of a strong person. Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. If ever you want to talk about like cannibalism, they practiced it all the time in Europe, and not just when people were super hungry or whatever. Medical cannibalism in Europe reached its peak in the 16th century when the practice became widespread in Germany, France, Italy, and England. At that time, most raw materials for the practice came from mummies stolen from Egyptian tombs. They literally thought that if you ground up the mummies or you like drank the embalming fluid or whatever, it would give you superpowers and cure illness, which is insane. That's not just regular cannibalism. That's like cannibalizing 3,000-year-old bodies. That's insane. A significant number of mummies that would today otherwise be in like museums were just eaten by nobles. Blood specifically soon evolved to be seen as a substantial elixir, especially fresh, warm human blood, because it was believed to still possess the soul of the deceased. Okay, by the way, important question for any Christians in the audience. How the is this belief compatible with Christianity? The soul is literally an immaterial concept that the body is bonded to, but if you die, it goes to heaven or hell or whatever. How the can you believe blood contained the soul? What are you, like a witch? Are you like a pagan? Actual question. How does this work? Don't try, it's all incoherent. Yeah. For example, it was believed that drinking the blood of a strong person or a wise person would result in an increase of strength or wisdom, respectively, because once ingested, the spirit of the deceased could connect with that of the consumer and lend them its power. How is this compatible with Christianity? This belief was especially common in Germany. Oh, shit, dude. Germany, you mean Aryan land. You mean the people who would then go do the Third Reich. You're telling me they were doing this barbaric shit, this heathen shit, like just a couple centuries before? That's crazy. Even the poor, who could not afford other remedies, took part in this practice by bringing a cup to executions, paying the executioner a small fee, then filling their cup with the fresh blood. Literally, at like the same time the Spanish were slaughtering trillions of Latin Americans, you had like German peasants lining up under beheadings to like, with their little cups, their like wooden cups, to like catch the blood that dripped through the floorboards. Super cool. Does the AFD believe this? Yes. This is still common practice with AFD practitioners. Yes. They still do this to this day.